Hey folks, welcome back to our Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Veiled Fate. Veiled Fate is brought to you by IV Studio. It's for 2 to 8 players, ages 14 and up, and games range anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. In Veiled Fate, you play as a divine being who has sired a demigod in the realms of men. The identity of your lineage is known only to you. Use positional play to complete quests and influence fate to ensure the outcome in your favor. Strike the perfect balance of misdirection and mischief to capture the throne. There are 9 demigods at the beginning of the game. Each player is secretly assigned one demigod as their offspring. When the game begins, however, players may control the actions of any demigod, not just their own. Through strategic play and secret voting, players must aid their demigod in gaining renown. But be careful, giving away your lineage too soon may cause the other players to work together towards your demigod's demise. At the end of 3 ages, the demigod with the most renown ascends to the throne and wins the game. To set this one up, you're going to start with the city tile in the middle of the table. You're going to build your circular board around it using regions, starting with the abyss. Then you're going to take the city deck, you're going to shuffle that up and flip 1 card at a time until you find an altar. The altar will then be placed on the city tile in the middle, as well as you will create your deck of cards for the ages. You've got age 1, 2, and 3. You randomly draw 1 card from each age and set up that deck. The first card, age 1, is flipped over and also placed on the city tile. You'll take all the demigod figures and place them in the middle on the city tile. Then you'll take the renowned pillars and you're going to place them at the bottom of the abyss region. Now this game is all about getting renown, so you'll start with 0 though for each of the different demigods, and those pillars will all match the color to the demigods out in the middle of the table. Now, depending on how many players are in the game will determine how many quest cards get put into play. Here we're set up for a full 8-player game, but you'll shuffle those quest cards and deal them face up into the different regions. Then you'll take the demigod deck, which represents the 9 demigods, their colors, and you'll shuffle this together, then allowing each player in turn to draw 1 card at random. The players will then look at these cards and keep them secret throughout the game. You don't want to give away who your demigod is. Then you'll deal 5 fate cards to each player. Each player will also receive a handy guide for their god powers in the game, and there is a fate coin that you'll be using to decide your fate at times, and there's a city tracker, and of course this cool first player marker. And then you're ready to begin. Each game is divided up into 3 rounds, or ages, and in the setup we talked about how you flip over the age 1 card. Well, this is actually part of the game. The first player would be doing that and reading it aloud. And the ages cards are going to affect the human world, or really affect the renown that the different demigods can achieve throughout the game. So on your turn, you can perform 2 actions, but there's also only 2 actions to choose from. You can move a demigod, or you can use a god power, but you can choose to move a demigod twice, or you can also use your god powers twice. It really is up to you, any combination you so choose. You just get 2 actions to do so. So let's look at demigod movement. Mostly this is about moving to an adjacent location or adjacent region, or perhaps if you're in a region with a quest that has an empty slot, you can move to that quest or pick one of the slots on that quest. Or if you're in a region and there's a quest in an adjacent region, you can choose to move directly to that quest. Lots of different ways to move around the city and the different regions, but really you're trying to get to the quests is what your main goal here is. Now, if you have a demigod that's been placed in the abyss, your only option to move that one is to move up to the pools, and then from the pools to move back to the city, and then that demigod will be available to move out throughout the regions. So quest cards represent adventures that the demigods are going to undertake to prove their worth. Now, the thing here is that once you place a demigod on a card, they're going to be locked into place. But there are some requirements about what demigods can partake in the different quests. Some of these are going to have class requirements, as each of the demigods have their own specific class, so you have to keep an eye on those icons. As well as some have a requirement using them in a specific order, moving from top to bottom, things like that. As well as sometimes there's a color requirement to what demigod can be on a certain slot. But when you do place the demigod on the quest card, then you also have to place a fate card next to it in that region. And when that card is finally completed, then you will pull those fate cards, shuffle them up, and flip them to see which side of the quest wins. And it's important to note that sometimes you'll be adding additional cards to that vote for this quest. So you're looking at the icon in the middle top of the card, and you, as the player that completed this quest, put the last demigod on it, will pick whoever you so choose to add an additional card, if the quest calls for it, to that vote. And then again, like I said, you'll take the cards, shuffle them up, flip them over, and see if the scorpion side wins or if the leaf side wins. So the different symbols on these quest cards, you have the omega, which represents a positive renown. You have the scythe, which represents a negative renown. And you've got the eye with a lightning bolt, which represents a smite, moving that particular demigod to the abyss. So there's all kinds of things that can happen based on how that vote turns out. Either scorpion on the dark side or the leaf on the light side. And sometimes you'll be competing for a slot on the card and you'll flip the coin to see what the ultimate goal is, either the scorpion or the leaf. So there's all kinds of variations and things that can happen based on the different types of quests and things for sure. But again, the main thing you're looking for is renown, so you're choosing those slots carefully. And you obviously don't want to give away your position as which demigod is yours, so you might throw a quest sometimes just to throw people off the scent. But in general, that you are playing very strategically to gain control of the renown. As an example, let's take a look at Find the Cure. In this quest, the scorpion side or the dark side won out in the vote. So the first demigod is going to get a -1 renown. The second demigod will get a +1 renown, and the third will have to flip the coin. And in flipping the coin, we see that they also get a negative renown. And you'll adjust the values around the board to reflect what happened in this quest. Now, anytime you move a demigod back to the city tile in the middle, then you'll move the tracker on that city card that is there. And again, you're gonna get all kinds of benefits just like you would for a quest. But potentially you could even draw a fate card or just get renown or negative renown, or you might have to flip the fate coin to see what happens. But it is a great way to add additional points or subtract from the different demigods by moving them back to the center. So keeping an eye on that city card is really important throughout the game. Now, your other possible action is to use one of your god powers. You have the handy reference guide and they're all very clear in what they do. But the big thing to note about these god powers is that they have a cost, and you have to pay that cost in fate cards. So you need to be somewhat choosy here, because if you spend your fate cards too early, you're not going to have them to swing the votes on the different types of quests that are going on. So there is a decision process here about when to do these powers and when they can benefit you the most, but they really do add a lot to the game. And so the age comes to an end, when either all the players have rested or you've completed all the quests. Now, there are all kinds of things that can happen in this end of age phase, but in this particular example, we have the Arbiter. And the first player, the player with the first player token, will choose 3 demigods that they so see fit that need to be voted on. And the rest of the players are going to be voting here and determining the fate of these demigods. Either they're going to get positive renown, +2 in this case, or a negative renown. So all these age cards are going to do all kinds of different things, but you'll continue this way through the different ages until you reach the end of the game, and whoever has the most renown will be the ultimate demigod in the universe, ruling over all the others. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here has been in prototype form. So keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, with that said, The thing I like about this game, one of the big things, is the fate coin. Flipping to choose the fate of a demigod, and how the different ages, how those cards can really change up what happened in that current age. Some really interesting things that happen there. As well as participating in the quests and knowing when to play your cards and when to activate those god abilities. Really a strategic part of the game with some really fun deduction built into it. But ultimately, folks, if this looks like something that would be of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it from me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.